But I want to speak about the Seer, because you met this man that just came along and changed your life.
Yeah. What do you want to know about it?
Oh, I want to know the journey. Like somebody told you to call him, and you did.
Yeah. Yeah. And after a few calls, one day he was just there, and he said, "What can I help you with?" And I told him, "I have I want an appointment with you in your office." And he said, "No way. We have almost a year before you can see me." I said, "Then I'll die. You have to really help me." And I told him all about what was wrong, and he said, "All right, hang on." And 1 minute later, he came back. He said, "Okay, you'll see me in half a year, and until then, everything will be all right. Bye." And from that moment, I was up, and every day was like coming back to life slowly. And there were so many crazy things happening. I gave up smoking, which I had tried so many times without luck. It was like...
So I have to ask you, who is this man? Like, is he well known? Is he hiding somewhere? Is he a healer? Do you think he's an angel, or someone with, these abilities that he is born with? I'm just curious about that man.
He was born with all those abilities, but he was, of course, just a man like you and me. And there was a purpose that I had to meet him, because we were meant to meet. And he helped me a lot, but I also helped him a lot. So we really had something to give each other, and we were much like father and son, and we became very, very close friends. And until he died in 2007, we were very close. We talked every day. But the funny thing is that he was born in Aarhus, like I, in the same street, in each end of the street. Yes, it's really
synchronicity.
Yeah. There was, but he was what you call a cosmopolitan. He was a man of the world. He worked all over Europe, and he had customers all over the world who phoned him every day. And he lived in southern Spain, in Andalusia, where he had his home and his office.
And you went with him abroad, I think, was it in France?
Yes, we worked a lot in France, but also in Spain.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then you wrote the O Manuscript. And to me, it seems like you felt that this was always meant to be, in a way.
Yeah, you could say that. That was what I felt. And when I started writing it, the Seer was like me, like my, what do you call it? I've wrote a lot of a few books before that. But the Seer was really my kind, if you could say, my apprenticeship, And after that, a real strange thing's happening. The Mary Magdalene book and the Grail book was like, there was written under the most crazy circumstances. I got divorced. I was living in a car, and I just wrote those books. And I never thought that they could become books. And even to this day, when I open it, and I just open it randomly and read something in Grail or Mary Magdalene, I wonder where it come from. I don't remember me writing it. A lot of the things there.
So it kind of came through you. You felt like...
Say that I'm not keen on mentioning channeling or stuff like that, but yes, something like it. Yeah.
So what I'm curious about is that you've written about, Mary Magdalene and Jesus and that time, and you've gone into metaphysics. Why this interest towards Christianity in a way? Or is it more that you're looking into the esoteric side of it and not as much as the traditional Christianity?
It is, because there is a secret part to it. I started working with Mary Magdalene already in the 80s. So that was long before the Da Vinci Code and all this stuff. But I think the main thing for me that really made a huge difference was when I started learning Aramaic.
Right.
And Aramaic is the key to understanding Jesus and Mary Magdalene. And it's so hard to explain in words what that means, because any literature you can think of just become common noise from a marketplace compared to what the Aramaic language really, really are capable of opening. Aramaic, understood in an esoteric way, in a mystical way, is really one of the deepest spiritual paths you can walk. It's really, really amazing. And every day, I started in 1988, and every day since is like a flower that just keep opening up, blossoming, opening up, more petals. And it have made me understand, so many things, the most simple things, the most complicated things in a simple way, and the most simple way in a very deep, deep, deep way.
Yeah, because you're saying it's kind of a psychological language and a more feminine language than, for instance, Latin.
It is. It really is. And you should remember, one word can have up to 10 different meanings, and they can be contradictory, but you have to include them all, and you have to understand. And that is really something that's very hard for us in the West to understand. How do you comprehend 10 different meanings in the same time at one? That means also why it has been so difficult to translate Jesus' words into Greek, because how could you just with one word translate? You haven't got words for the Aramaic words. You have to use something. Remember, for each letter in that language, there are written books just for one letter. Yeah.
And they spoke Aramaic, Jesus and Mary, when they were, okay.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I'm very curious about this. The mystery schools, the esoteric schools. Can you tell us a little bit what you know about that? Because apparently I have understood that both Mary and Jesus went to these schools and really learned about the mysteries of the universe, astrology and all that.
Of course they did. And if you're really studying these things, it's if you get rid of all the theology of the churches, because they are really the stumbling stones for this, because they are standing in the way of the real truth about this. Okay. Jesus, he was educated by the Essenes at the Dead Sea. Mary the Magdalene was educated by the therapists in Alexandria, just outside Alexandria in northern Egypt. And that was a mystery school where both men and women went in on an equal footing, and they learned everything about astrology, astronomy, stones and crystals, healing, about the human condition on all levels, not only physical and psychology, but also on a spiritual level. So they were very, very revered healers, exactly as the Essenes were in Israel. So when you went in to get this education, this was really a holistic education. It was not just like today. If you're a doctor, you are a doctor for the ear or the nose or whatever. No, they knew the whole picture, and that's exactly what we need to come back to in order to understand who are a human being. Who are we? Where do we come from? What are we doing here? Where are we going? Those 4 questions, we have to answer them and go to a doctor and ask those questions. And they don't know what they will tell you. And of course, it's not to say anything bad about doctors, but that's just the difference. Yeah. And that's where we have come to,
So is this the same schools as the Aristoteles and Pythagoras went to?
No, they were different. They were quite different. Those schools were much more into to the spiritual, to the deep spiritual things. They knew that everything was spirit, even the stones and the sand and the trees
And Jesus went out to the desert for 40 days, didn't he? And met kind of his ego. And what I found very interesting was that in Aramaic, the word Satan means ego.
It means really the adversary, the our own mischiefs, everything that you are up against within yourself is really Satan. Satan is, in that respect, the ego, the small self,
So Jesus had to meet his own ego as a part of the practice.
Everybody has. That's something, and unfortunately, a lot of people in New Age and so forth, they don't want to confront themselves. They want to live up there, with the angels and the pink on a pink sky, listening to very spiritual music. But you should remember that walking a spiritual path is really to be grounded. And if you're not grounded, you must remember and ask yourself the question, why am I here?
In a human body.
Yeah. It's because we have to work here. And we have to develop heaven on earth. And you cannot do that if you're up in heaven. You have to go down there and really open it up here.
To watch the full video, click the link below, and I would love it if you would subscribe to my channel.
Resto maliata.